Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to watch the video. Going to give you guys my second day competition report from here at Kentucky Lake, give you a rundown how the day went, and hopefully it'll help you guys learn something, what to do or not to do after we get done with the video here. Also guys, real quick, just a big thank you for everybody who's taken time to hit that subscribe button here to the channel. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, I'd like to invite everybody to do that. It's free and easy, and all you gotta do is hit that notification button. You'll never miss any videos, so really appreciate that. Okay guys, the haters are gonna love this tournament here today, how everything went down. After I get done, this is going to be a field day for the haters, because I can see it right now when I get done with this video. They're gonna say, "Oh Randy, you suck, you're washed up, your old grandpa, give it up. You know, you just can't catch fish anymore." So, you know, I'm happy I can brighten the haters' day up a little bit after we get done with the video. But if you guys saw the yesterday, you know, if you've been watching all week long, you know, I didn't have any practice for this tournament. Not using anything as an excuse, I just didn't have any practice. And yesterday I had 3 fish that weighed 6 pounds and 10 ounces, and just trying to get a feel for what was going on. I did a little bit of everything yesterday, if you guys saw the video report. And today, what my plan was, is the water was coming up fast. It's like when we launched this morning, you could, with the boat dock, you couldn't even get on the dock because the water came up so much. So I made a commitment this morning. I said, I'm gonna put that flipping stick in my hand and not take it out of my hand. I'm just gonna go for broke, and that's what I'm gonna do all day long. Because yesterday, at the end of the day, I caught my best fish flipping a sawdust pile. And also guys, I did a little quick on the water video here, so let me go to that right now. I'm going to take you to this clip, and I'm going to show you the exact type of stuff I was fishing today. I took this video here on Kentucky Lake while I was in the tournament today, so check it out real quick and I'll be right back. Okay guys, here's a good example of some sawdust piles that I've been fishing this week here on Kentucky Lake. Now, this stuff occurs anytime you have a rapid rise in the water, like when the water comes up real quick over the course of 2 or 3 days. Water comes up, certain areas like this will gather this sawdust pile, which is an accumulation of like leaves and sticks and just debris that's in the water. And anytime it gathers around cover like this, guys, it's a great area for big fish. Now, one of the reasons that hasn't been working too good this week at Kentucky Lake is the water's really muddy. So you need a little bit cleaner visibility most of the time. We've been catching a few, but guys, if you ever get into a situation like this where the water's high and coming up, this is an area that you want to look for in the springtime of the year, because you can catch some giant bass like this. And it changes every day, because, you know, the sawdust will be in areas every day differently based upon the wind. So you may have sawdust in an area one day, it may be gone the next day, and you may have an area like this where there's no sawdust, and there'll be sawdust there the next day based upon how the wind's blowing. When you're fishing them, guys, the main thing that I like to use is a heavy jig. I've got my throwback jig here today, 5/8 ounce black and chartreuse with a blue trailer. You can also use a creature bait sometimes too, but it seems like to me the bigger fish like a jig and that type of stuff. But the thing about it is, like, when you run this type of pattern, you have to commit to it, because a lot of it is time of day. Sometimes you can fish that sawdust, you know, at 9 o'clock in the morning and not get a bite, and then come back at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and catch a 20-pound bag of fish. But I have caught tons of 7 and 8 pounders doing this. And if you ever get a situation in the lake you're fishing, don't pass them up, because they're really good areas to catch them in. Okay guys, that was my plan right there. The sawdust pile you just saw in that video, that was my game plan, because I know all the bass fishing experience I have, anytime the lake is coming up super fast like that, I mean, anytime it's a hard rise, if you got sawdust piles and it's April and the water temperature is 60 degrees, you better be flipping sawdust piles, because I have caught some giants doing that. And the thing about that is the sawdust pile pattern, it's very finicky, because you can have some sawdust piles one day and they're gone the next based upon the direction the wind is going to blow. So, but anyway, I made a commitment to do that. So started out, ran down there to that area where I felt there'd be a lot of that type of water at. And I knew right off the bat, it was cold. It was, you know, it was still dark. You know, it was, you know, a lot of shade out. And that sawdust pattern is not good until the sun gets up, you know, a little bit higher. So I didn't expect to catch much for the first 2 or 3 hours at all. And I didn't. My partner caught one keeper like the first 3 hours. And then about 11:30, I caught my first keeper, which was the one you just saw in the thumbnail. There was a nice one. It was a 3-pounder or so, and that gave me some confidence. And about 20 minutes later, I lost a freaking giant. I mean, it was, I got it out. It came up halfway to the boat and came off. I don't know how big it was, but it was a big one. I saw it wallering around. It was, I don't know, 4 to 6 pounder, good one like that. So that told me right there, it's like, that's all I'm going to do all day long. So to make a long story short, guys, I flipped sawdust piles all day long, you know, with my throwback jig, 25-pound test Seagar, and never had another bite with it. So that's what you have to be prepared for when you fish a, you know, real, you know, like a high risk, high reward type of a pattern. That type of stuff happens. But in retrospect, what I want to do here in the video is I want to help you guys learn from something on this, because you can learn a lot from this, from what I went through today. And one of the biggest things with that is water clarity has a big role to play when you're flipping sawdust piles. Sawdust piles are generally better when you have at least a foot or two of visibility. And here at Kentucky Lake, it was really muddy, and we didn't have that. We only had a couple inches of visibility. And even though there was a lot of good sawdust and we had a really good day for it, I think it was just a little too dirty. I think I tried to force feed them the mat flipping pattern, and my partner wound up catching 2 nice ones, and he lost 3. And he was just pitching a tube around, not in the sawdust, but around the sawdust. You know, I was in the sawdust and he was like on the bare banks around it. So sometimes it just goes to show, you know, those fish were there, but they weren't under the sawdust. They were just roaming around on nothing. He just pitched that tube up to a bare bank with nothing on it and catch one. So it could be a combination. Those fish weren't positioned there, and it could have been the bait. I mean, he had a tube, really finessey bait, which I didn't think would work in that stained water, and it did. So anyway, guys, let me get the boat on the trailer here and I'll finish up the video. Okay, guys, got the boat on the trailer. Now, to wrap up the video here, this is some things that you can learn with it. First of all, one of the things that really threw me off in this tournament was the fact that how many fish were still out a little bit deeper and not relating to cover, given the fact the water was muddy. It's like there was a lot of fish caught in this tournament that was, guys were scoping, and guys were just fishing out off the bank. They were fishing like those long flat points and stuff with crankbaits and, you know, dragging stuff in that chocolatey, muddy water. Now, this is something that doesn't usually occur on normal man-made impoundments, but the Tennessee River, Kentucky Lakes are different. You got the current flux, the current factor, and then you got the smallmouth factor, and these fish behave differently here. It's like that's an anomaly to have those fish stay out just in that nothing chocolatey, you know, water like that. And it's the same with my partner, you know, catching them on the tube like that. He caught him yesterday too. My partner, he made the cut. He had almost 14 pounds yesterday, and then he had those ones with me today. He should have had a really good bag today. He just couldn't keep him pegged. But he was fishing a little tube, just throwing it just out on bare nothing banks. I mean, no reason the fish should be there whatsoever. I don't understand that. It's like a couple of those places, it was like, you know, the type of places where you get on the trolling motor real fast because it looks terrible, like there's nothing there and it's flat and there's nothing to it. He would be catching them on that type of stuff with that dang tube in that muddy water. And that just goes to show me how much I got to learn about bass fishing, because that's literally the last thing I would have ever tried. But it's sort of like what I talk about on the channel here a lot, guys. You have to listen to the fish, and you can't force feed them to do what you want to do if you want to consistently catch fish. Now, for me, it's like I don't make my living fishing bass tournaments anymore like I used to. So now the tournaments that I fish are like for YouTube content and teaching purposes. So when I go to these tournaments, I fish how I want to fish. I may overlook the best patterns, but I'm going to fish the way I want to fish, and I love to flip a jig. And that's what I did today. That's why I didn't put a tube on, even after my partner was catching them. So, I don't know, guys. This is one of those tournaments. It has me shaking my head, and then again it doesn't, because I've seen this type of situation before. But one of the things that I sort of like, I consider myself a really good shallow water, rising water fisherman, because I like to flip and I like to throw spinner bait, and I feel like I understand those fish when that happens. But this one, it really threw me for a loop, because here's another thing that happened. There was the water coming up so hard the last 2 days, it put the perfect amount of water in the buckbrush, in the bushes. And that's probably my favorite way to bass fish, is to flip a jig in bushes. And we had perfect scenario for it today. There was like 2.5 or 3 foot of water in the bushes, and a lot of them, and the fish were not in there. Those fish are not in those bushes right now. I mean, it's like, I think that we're like a week too early. If you come here next week, you guys can probably have a ball, catching them flipping. But the water came up so fast and so hard, and the water's dirty, that those fish did not move up into that cover. There's no reason for them. That's what I figured out a little bit after my co-angler caught those fish on the tube, just throwing it out on nothing. Is when you have this really thick cover, like the matted sawdust and the gnarly bushes and that type of stuff and logs, the bass don't need to go there in that dirty water. They can just hang out on nothing and feel secure. And that's where I messed up. I spent too much time trying to probe the thick cover, and I should have known better, but I was getting a few bites and I lost that big one. So I just felt it's like, if I just keep doing it and keep looking and keep hunting for water, all I need is 5 bites, 5 the right ones. And that's what happens when you make a commitment to a technique sometimes. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, guys, that's sort of the story here. It's just sort of one of those deals that the way it worked out. Like I said, I'm sure the haters are just laughing and loving it right now, but that's just, you gotta throw them a bone once in a while to give them something to feel good about. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys are doing well, man. I really appreciate y'all tuning in for the videos this week, and we'll check in later. See you.